Hey, I'm Matt Hudgens, and he's Dave Mulvaney, and this is Profitability MD. Dave, how you doing today, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you?
Life is good. I'm actually further south than you are. I'm down here at Delray Beach, Florida. So 86 degrees today. How about that?
Beautiful part of the state. If you're staying through the weekend, it won't be nearly as warm.
A cool front. What's a cool front? I mean, it might get it in the 60s.
I'm running a 15K
Okay.
Saturday, and the high Saturday is 58. So it means I'm going to probably start out in 40s, high 40s. So that's a little cool to be running, but I'd rather be.
That's like the perfect temperature to be running. What are you talking about? That's perfect.
Not if you're in Florida.
That's awesome. That's great. All right. So we're on episode 63, and we'll talk about the reasons you become an entrepreneur, the reasons you became a business owner, right?
There's a lot of reasons, but let's take them one by one.
Yeah. And this, we'll give full credit where credit is due. Dan Sullivan has something that he calls the four freedoms. That's what he calls them. And so it's a good framework to talk about. So I thought we'd work through there. So he boils it down to the four reasons you probably became a business owner was the freedom of time. And we'll talk about each one of those: freedom of time, freedom of money, relationship, and purpose. So that was kind of his, hey, if you think about it, the four reasons you became an entrepreneur are these four reasons. So let's talk about the first one. It talks about the freedom of time. And so let's talk about that. Part of the idea of being a business owner, which is really the irony of it, right, is that we didn't want to work 9 to 5. Yet how many business owners do we know that are working 80 hours a week or 24/7?
And then they go home at night and they think about work and they never really check out. They go on vacation. They never check out.
Right.
And so, to understand, Dan Sullivan is all about using your business as a tool and getting your life back. Really, I mean, if there's anything that the first thing I believe that entrepreneurs give up, I shouldn't say entrepreneurs. The first thing that most self-employed people give up is time.
Right.
They dive in, and I was just talking with a client of mine who actually coaches people on this very subject.
Okay.
And so what happens is you have this strategy of what your business can become.
Right.
Then you get busy, and you're doing all this busy work, and all of a sudden you move away from the strategy, and 10 years goes by.
Right. Where did all my freedom of time come from?
Exactly.
Or
and
go to.
You lose that time. So the reason you became a business owner is because you thought you'd make more money so you'd have more time. So let's talk about that subject. How do you get more time back in your business, Matt?
Yeah, I think that's great. And so the way he frames this up, which I think is always pretty cool, is exactly right. You probably became a business owner so you could, work when you wanted to work and take time off when you wanted to take off. And what happened is we'd had the creep, where it creeps in, time creep, where now we're working longer or doing stuff. So how do you get your time back? And that would be really, first of all, you got to acknowledge it. Where's my time? We always talk about the activity inventory. Where do I spend my time? We've talked about, probably 80% of your time is spent on the non-essential stuff, the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your activity.
The urgent versus the important.
Right. That means 80% of your stuff is spent on non-important stuff, right? So a lot of it is we just didn't realize, like you were saying, that, it's almost like the time creep. All of a sudden we become overwhelmed with our lack of free time. So the first thing would be to acknowledge it. And the second thing would be to start protecting it. And so that means that time off. And so this was interesting, and it's anti what, my father's generation, your father's generation, which was, you got to work really hard and then you get vacation or time off. Right. And the complete opposite of what I view it as and what you view it as, and even Dan Sullivan, he's not the only one, which was, no, I actually need to be refreshed so I could give my best performance, right? Athletes are not goofing off before they go play their sport, right? They're resting up, right?
And whether you believe in God or not, even God said on the seventh day he rested, right? And the Sabbath, the whole concept of rest as a part of working is, I believe it's a success principle that you must rest in order to have success.
Yeah. You must take advantage of your time. So part of the thing would be, all right, we became entrepreneurs to have the freedom of time. And so now we need to get back into doing that. So we talked about that would be how many days off do you take? How much time do you spend with your family? We talked about time blocking, where you're certain activities that are you're working on your business, and certain activities you're taking time off, recharging your batteries, spending time with your family, right? So taking charge of your time.
Dan, going back to strategic coach and Dan Sullivan, one of the first, if you ever were in Dan's coaching program, the first year you're going to learn what's called the entrepreneurial time system.
Right.
And so in that, I believe it was the first session, possibly, or the second session.
I think it was, yeah.
And what you're going to learn there, you're going to plan how many days are you going to take off per year. And during that time that you take off, you're not allowed to do any work. You're not allowed to do email, not allowed to answer your phone. You're really off work.
Right.
Which is, I think, a little shocking to.
Oh, it's funny. So like when I start working with coaching clients, I tell them to schedule a Wednesday off, like the middle of the week, totally random. And it makes you start thinking about time. What do you have to do so you can take off Wednesday? So what do you have to do on Monday and Tuesday? So Thursday isn't, chaotic, right? So the first thing I always tell people to do is to take off on Wednesday, middle of the week, which means you have to plan, how am I going to be able to take this day off? And the second part, I don't want to come back and have it be chaos either. So I need to, that's what we mean about taking control of your time, right? What do you have to do so you can take a Wednesday off and not be overwhelmed on Tuesday or overwhelmed on Thursday when you come back?
And the reality is when you do it, you're going to plan Monday and Tuesday so well, and you're going to follow that plan because I got to get this. I got to get all this done. You're going to plan Monday and Tuesday really well so that you can enjoy Wednesday, and then you're going to get back on Thursday, and you probably won't get as much done on Thursday as Friday as you got done on Monday and Tuesday.
That's like the day before vacation, right? That's the most productive day of your life, right? Because you're always, like you said earlier, you're just doing the essential stuff. Right? When you're doing the day before vacation, you were just knocking stuff out. Hey, this got to get done. Everything else I'm pushing off I'll call them back later. I'll email them later. I got to get stuff done. So you're exactly right. That's what you would do on the Tuesday, would be get stuff done. So that's pretty good. All right. So the second one becomes freedom of money. So the freedom of money says, all right, we all become business owners so we can make as much money as we want or as much money as need or want or however you want to say that. Right. And so, our profitability, our money allows us to support our lifestyle and other things that interest us. We'll get into purpose and relationship later. But it was interesting in that I don't know where along the way I don't know if it was Dan Sullivan or one of the other gurus or maybe my own little version of it, which was I use my money to buy my freedom, to buy my time, right? So this is where I'm a very frugal person, right? A very frugal person. But part of the concept is when you make money, I can somebody to do something that I want to do. So it'll free up my time that I can go spend with my kids, the family type stuff, right? Where it was a mind shift for me that freedom of money doesn't mean I want a bunch of money. And money's a measuring mark in my opinion. But the money allows me to pay for stuff that I don't want to do so I can have more time with my family. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, my business coach at one point had said to me, Ray Edwards, he said, you have exactly what you want. And and in terms of money, in terms of everything. And so if you look at your checking account, if you look at your time, you look at your life, you have exactly what you want now because we tolerate things based upon our desires. So if you want, I guess, this gargantuan lifestyle, then you're going to have that lifestyle as long as you're willing to put forth the effort to make that happen. even if you're planning the time off. It doesn't
Right.
limit you just because you took time off. That's the amazing part. Is you look at some of the most successful people, they take that time off, but they also have the money. And so you learned what happens if you don't have is you are accepting what you don't have.
Right. Right. What are you tolerating? Yeah. What are you putting up with that you shouldn't be putting up with? Which is funny. So the biggest 3 complaints I hear from business owners that I work with is that one, they're not taking enough time off, right? They're working too much. They're stressed. They're overwhelmed. Number 2 is, not making enough money. All my business owners want to take more time off, make more money, and pay less in taxes. That's what I always say. Those are the 3 things I hear. So you want to make more money, and you want to make more money because take care of your family, provide your lifestyle, whatever the lifestyle you want. And then the extra money starts to create what I call opportunities, right? So we pay for stuff that we don't want to do. We pay for experiences. I now spend my money on experiences with my kids, go on vacations, that we create memories as opposed to buying stuff, right? So the money is just a way to create more experiences, right? So.
And that's a really that takes a lot of wisdom and to spend money on experiences versus stuff. Because, I think until you've had stuff, you'll never know that stuff won't make you happy. So,
that's a good point. You don't believe it. You're not going to believe it.
How many times have you heard it said, I'd rather be crying, into my steak than, but the reality is the people who've already had stuff, they realize that, this doesn't make me happy, but I'm going to buy experiences instead. That takes wisdom. That says, I prefer this life over only just chasing things, because chasing things is empty, and it's, it doesn't make me happy. But it's good to have money. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather
No, it's much better to have it. But that's, that's part of our message. You can have it all. You can have more, you can make more, and you can take more time off, right? We have systems and structures in place to do that. The third one he talks about is freedom of relationship, which I really like this one. And so what I take that as is both relationship and who are my clients, and relationships on who I do business with, who I work with, who employees, partners, joint venture people, and clients. Like I take that as, and relationship with my family, right? So I have a very broad definition of relationships, right? And so, but what I took to heart from this was, how do I say this? I'll say the nice version of it is when I turned 40, I said 40 and F it. 40 and F it. And that meant is I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. Right. So I don't have to deal with any clients I don't want to deal with. I don't have to deal with any suppliers that I don't want to deal with. In other words, if they're mean to me or mean to my someone I work with, or they're just rubbed me the wrong way, I don't have to deal with them. Right. They don't have to be my client. They don't have to be my supplier. They don't have to be my employee. I don't have to put up with that. Right.
All right, can we pause there? Because this is so important from a marketing standpoint. So I'm onboarding a new client today, and the entire first page is on this.
Oh, cool. Great.
Who you want as a client. But,
yes.
But the part of this is, okay, so we all have them. You got this client over here who you really don't like, and you got this client over here who you love. So the idea is to take that client you love and really record everything you love about them.
Right.
And then target them. So how do you target them? Well, this might sound crazy. Okay. This is called stalking, if you will. But you might look at their Facebook page, and you might look at the groups they're in. You might see the type of posts that they promote on LinkedIn and these type of things. And it starts to give you this profile of the types of things that person likes. Then you're going to market to that profile, because now you know the places where they're kind of like, if you go fishing, you got to fish where the fish are.
Right.
So I know we're talking relationships.
No, this is good.
Relationships can be part of targeting as well, because you should be targeting the clients you love, and slowly but surely, some people call it firing your clients that you don't like, but it's really realistically, someone in your field might say, hey, Steve over here would be a better fit for you as a client.
Right.
A lot of times,
you narrow down. Yeah, you start outgrowing your clients and pass them off, or firing your clients, however you want to say that. But
sometimes it's better for the client when you give them to somebody else who might be a better fit from a personality standpoint.
Right. And it's funny you say that. So like, in our business, we start looking at who are prospective clients for business coaching, for for investment advisor, for whatever our business is. And it's so funny. You do have a profile, right? There's certain people that a lot of my guys play golf, right? That's my hobby, right? I bet if you were a fisherman, a lot of your people would be fishermen, right? That you'll notice trends or tendencies of the people that you're already working with, right? What I always say is you probably have a niche and you don't even realize it. You've got a target audience that you're already dealing with. You like to deal with them. They've got certain characteristics, whether it be personalities, whether it be hobbies, whether it be monetary, whether it be, hey, no, none of my people are divorced, or all my people are divorced, or, you're going to notice a niche already in your existing client base that you may not have noticed before, right?
It's funny you say that. I didn't really realize it, but the fish behind me, the sailfish.
Yeah.
That we caught 3 of those that day, and it was I had chartered a boat down in Islamorada, and all my clients were on board. So
there you go.
You're with your clients. I do love fishing. I don't like to have my own boat. I like to hire somebody else's boat.
Sure.
You get to turn it back in. But the point is exactly what you said. I love the golf, and you notice we have a relationship as well. Because so you tend to attract what you. I guess you'd say your relationships are the people that are like you and like similar things. Maybe they're not like you, but they like similar things.
Right. Right. And that goes back to everything we just started. So because of that, you'll end up having more time because you're not dealing with pain in the butt people, right? They're not your clients. They're not your employees. They're not your partners, right? You'll have more money because you're dealing with the people you like to deal with, that you're passionate about. I think it's Dan Sullivan who says, who do I want to be a hero to? Who do I want to help out? Who am I trying to champion their cause, right? We're trying to champion the cause of small business owners everywhere, that you and I think that they could make more money and take more time off and pay less in taxes and have the business they deserve, right? That's what you and I believe with a passion.
And, because we believe that, and because I believe that so deeply, I feel like when I know I can help somebody with the problem that they have, and I know you feel the same way, if they walk away, if I don't help them, meaning they don't become my client, I don't charge it. If I don't want to charge them money for whatever reason, I do them a disservice because they leave and they still have that problem. That's a disservice. And so if you're a business owner and you're unique, every business owner is unique in what they do. And it's a disservice if you don't provide your service to the marketplace, your unique service to the marketplace, with the relationships that you want to have, that are unique to you.
Yeah. And that leads right into the 4th one, which goes into the purpose, the freedom of purpose, which is exactly right. And the freedom of purpose can be whatever you want it to be. Okay. Your purpose can be whatever you want it to be, and it can change, right? So your purpose could be to make a bunch of money to give to cancer research because your aunt died of breast cancer. That would be a great purpose. Your purpose could be to make a bunch of money to take care of my family. Right? Your purpose could be like we just said, the purpose could be to help 1,000 business owners take more time off, make more money, and pay less in taxes. That's a great purpose that you and I share, right? So your purpose can be anything. It doesn't have to be one thing, and it can evolve or change, right? Over time.
It does over time because you're, like I'm an empty nester now, and you're about to be in a couple of years. Well, my purpose 15 years ago was very different than it is today.
Absolutely.
I can tell you that I used to work till 8, 9 o'clock at night some nights, but I was always home on weekends. I was Mr. Weekends off, always off, no phone, no email, none of it. But during the week I'd work. Well, now my wife is going to be home. I'm home every night for dinner. I can honestly say for years, I missed I don't know how many thousands of dinners I missed, but not anymore, because I don't want my wife to have to eat alone. So there's a difference, even though I let my wife eat alone with my kids.
That's awesome. So like, it's great. So like I had it done for freedom of time and money for my kids. My girls played travel soccer. So I was, and I coached and did all this stuff with them. So I was done at 4 o'clock Monday through Thursday, because soccer practice started at 4 o'clock. I'm done. We're not having any meetings. I'm going to go coach their soccer or assist coaching their soccer. And that's what I did. And I did Saturdays and Sundays. We travel to go to their soccer tournaments. That was my thing. Now my purpose has changed right now with the girls. I got one in college and one in senior in high school. they're playing high school sports, which isn't as, it's high school soccer season, so you don't have travel soccer right now. I get to play some more golf on the weekends because most of the high school sports are during the week, right? So your purpose of all, but really the purpose has been that attention that I had on the girls is now moving to help 1,000 business owners, take more time off, make more money, pay less in taxes, right? Because that's where my passion is now. My passion was raising my kids and my family and taking care of them for, X number of years. And now it's migrated into, look, everybody could design a business like this.
Yeah, and if you're a younger entrepreneur listening to this, what Matt just said in that statement without saying it was, when you sign up to coach your kids, I'll tell you, I signed up to coach my son's baseball team for one reason, my daughter as well, for one reason, because I knew if I was the coach, I had to be there.
That's exactly right.
And you're the coach, you can't make excuses. It's because you have to be there. So no matter what, those are good commitments to make because they're commitments that force you to be there on time every time. So.
Well, and that is a great tip. That forcing yourself to be there by creating those events, right, would force you to take better control of your time. Because let's just say that you're the basketball coach, the baseball coach, the soccer coach, then you got to be done with work because you got to take the kids and you got to be there for whatever that hour and a half, 2 hour practice is. Boom. Now, there are many times I went home and worked, right? I went home and dinner with the girls, and then I'd have to work till 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. But that's the freedom of time that I had, right? That I could take this time off between 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock and spend with them, soccer practice and have dinner. And then I would go back to work, right?
Yeah.
So just because I left at 4 to go to soccer practice didn't mean I was done for the day. Part of my, penance, right, is I, like you said when we first got on this thing, you can work 24/7, anytime, any place. You're always thinking about work. That's one of the disadvantages of business, right? Of being your own business, your own entrepreneur, being your own business owner.
And there is one more, I guess you could say, entrepreneurial freedom.
Okay.
That a lot of entrepreneurs don't get to do. It's the freedom of location. Of
fantastic.
Being able to own a business that allows you to be where you are whenever you want to be there. It doesn't mean that you could have a physical location. I'm going to use I'm trying to think of a big company that without being political. I don't know why, but how about Amazon, for instance? Jeff Bezos owns a big company, and it's Seattle, right? Aren't they in Seattle?
Yes.
But he doesn't have to be in Seattle all the time. He has meetings in Seattle, but he could be anywhere. But right. You might say, yeah, but Jeff Bezos is a billionaire. But there's a lot of entrepreneurs who own $5, $6, $7 million businesses who can work as little as 2 or 3 times a week, 2 or 3 days a week, and this is how they communicate with their office a lot. This is a lot more common.
That's right, the Zooms and all that. Yeah, exactly right.
And so the location freedom is something different today because it affords you the ability to have your time and money, but be in the place that you might love. You might want to be in the Caribbean 3 months out of the year. Well, you got to have a business set up that allows you that ability to have a location freedom. Right. And the only way to do that is to have all these others in order with processes.
No, that's exactly, that's what I was going to say. To wrap it together would be exactly right. In order to get more time, you got to have systems and processes in place that hold you accountable yourself and hold your team members accountable to get stuff done when it's due, right? You got to have systems and processes that generate money, whether you're there or not, right? Or allows you to focus on your A+ activity, right? Yeah. The thing that makes you money that you enjoy. You got to have systems and processes in place for screening. These are the type of employees I want. These are the type of customers I want to deal with. These are my target audiences. These are what a good partner looks like to me, right? You got to have those checklists or processes, whatever you want to call them, protocols, what they call them in the dentist world. And then having a purpose, you're having your why. I mean, I think it's an old book by what's his name called, Finding Your Why. Your purpose.
That's Simon Sinek. Is that Simon?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Simon Sinek. Isn't that called What's Your Why or Find Your Why?
Find Your Why.
Yeah, and all this falls into place, right? If your passion is to, help 1,000 entrepreneurs, make more, work less, and pay less in taxes, then this other stuff falls in place. If your purpose is to make enough money to take care of your family so we could go to Disney World, right? now we got a purpose, and I got to, you got to boom, boom, boom. We got to make the money. We got to go focus so we can have the money to go on that trip, right? So if you have a purpose, your why, it brings the other guys into fashion. But in order to do this, what we just described is what? Systems and processes in place, right? That allow you to take more time off, allow you to make more money in a systematic way, allow you to pass up opportunities. I don't want to deal with those people. Allow you to hire only good people, right?
So what's important about systems and processes is the strategy, to put them together, and then you got to follow that strategy. It's like a game plan, a blueprint, whatever you want to call it. When you think of the Patriots head coach, Bill Belichick, every game against a team, he had a specific strategy. Then they created a blueprint based around that strategy. And then what did everybody do? All the coaches, all the players, they implemented the strategy that was put into place. Their focus was on the strategy. There were times when they were working hard and they get caught up in things, but the strategy was so clear they came back into focus and followed the strategy. That's what we're talking about, is when you create these systems and processes and a strategy. What's the strategy? You want time, you want money, you want the relationships, you want purpose. That's the strategy. You put the processes and the systems in place so that the strategy keeps you on the right blueprint all the time, every time, so that you have the things that you spelled out that you wanted.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think, I forget who, I've heard this several times from several gurus, which is a lot of times being successful is what you say no to, what you turn down, what business you decide not to pursue, right? What opportunities you try not to go after.
Deciding the opportunity cost before you say yes, because every opportunity has a cost.
Absolutely. And we could do so many things. I think that's where people get distracted, right? And there's one, and I can't remember who says this. It might be Take More, however you say his name. And he's got a philosophy, which is, you got one product, you got one strategy, you got one way to market it, and you got one thing you're selling until you get to $1 million. Then we'll divide up revenue streams or add on products and services. So I might be messing that up, but the idea was, it's just one thing we're doing one way until I get to that number. Then we can, what happens, I think, to a lot of entrepreneurs is they get distracted because they don't know what their why is. They don't know their purpose. They don't know their relationships because they're chasing anything that'll pay, right? Anything that has the heartbeat, right? That they give up their time because they're chasing a bunch of opportunities, right? Because they're chasing the money. They want the money. They need the money. They think they need the money.
And then they become that person spinning plates and
spinning plates. That's a great analogy.
Yeah, you can't keep them all spinning. I mean, eventually one's going to fall. So
that's right. Let's pick the one with the best that you're best at, that makes you the most money, gives you the most time off, allows you the relationships you want, and fulfills your purpose, right? And then we could add a second plate and third plate.
Precisely. And that's a good policy. You should be doing one thing until you hit $1 million in sales. One thing, the singleness of purpose. So many books are written upon, on that one thought process. But that's one strategy: time, relationship, money, purpose, built around a strategy. That's your purpose.
Right. And so that would be, if you're feeling grumpy, if you're feeling out of sorts, it's usually one of these four things or two of these four things, right? So if you are not happy with where you are right now, chances are one of these four things is out of whack, right? And so it's a great tool or framework that says, let's tackle one of those things, right? I need to start taking more time off. Obviously, I need to make more money, right? I'm not doing my purpose. This isn't what I signed up to do, right? So I think that's the way the framework was meant, as whenever you're grumpy or not where you want to be, it's probably one of these four things is out of whack. Anyway, I think it's a great tool or framework to think about that kind.
Yeah, and I think grumpy is a funny word, not funny word, but I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs who get depressed and they don't know why. And that depression is probably on a subconscious level, and it's one of these things. You got to find where it is, and maybe it's my relationships that aren't doing good right now, and that's why I'm subconsciously depressed. Or maybe, that's right, I set that big goal and I'm sucking wind, and it's March and I'm not hitting my financial goals.
Well, we had a great one. It was funny. One of the guys who's in coach with me, JD, and he's got a podcast and he does. Anyway, he had one quarter where he was like, man, I'm just focusing on me. I'm out of shape. I'm not where I want to be. So he was all about, he was the guy that introduced me to 75 hard. I'm going to do 75 hard and I'm going to turn down everything else and just focus on myself for this quarter. And he said he had the best quarter he ever had. Best quarter he ever had because he focused on one thing, which was himself and his health, which led to other good opportunities and a lot of things he said no to. Anyway, shout out to him. I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, no, that's good because that's what, Matt, that's what I've been, for like 3 straight years, I've been focusing on my health. And I know you do as well. And I think it's life-changing when you get your mind, body, spirit, the whole thing working together and you see how other things fall into place.
That's right.
I think the word is discipline. I think it creates areas in life that make things easier. So
discipline or structure. I like structure.
Structure is a better word,
right? Structures because we just need a framework to work within, whether it be for health, whether it be for business, whether it be something being out of whack. All right, where can we find Dave Mulvaney? You
can find me at davidmulvaney.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn at David Mulvaney and across other platforms. You can connect with us at profitabilitymd.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Where can we find you, Matt?
Yeah, so Matt Hudgens over on LinkedIn. And then I got my coaching website, which is 10xprofitblueprint.com, 10xprofitblueprint.com. And then, of course, we got our podcast here. So Profitability MD is on all your podcast sources. And you already mentioned your Profitability MD YouTube channel. And we got profitabilitymd.com, which has all the episodes and that type of stuff on there. So good stuff, man. This was actually good. So go work on your 4 freedoms.
All right, Matt. Have a great afternoon.
All right. See you, buddy.